This is Impact with Don Wenner.
All right, Justin, welcome to the show here today. So excited to have you. Can't wait to dig in here.
Thanks, Don. I'm excited to spend some time with you here. It's been, a quick minute since we last connected, so glad to be hanging again.
It has been. I had the pleasure of joining your awesome podcast a little bit ago, and can't wait to dig in with you here now on ours and talk a bit about risk and entrepreneurship and get some of your incredible perspective in so many different ways. So I'm going to start off, Justin. I'm going to take one of your quotes that I read. I'm going to kind of kick off us here with is that you said, if you don't have a solid foundation of leadership, don't focus on talent acquisition first, because you'll become a revolving door of talent. I'd love to kind of dig into that a little bit. What do you mean by that? What's the message here?
Yeah, I think there are some foundations that are imperative in an organization. And one of those foundations is, of course, human talent, human capital, the right people on the bus, people that create the right culture, that are the right fit, that are in the right position. I also think, though, that having some sort of protocol really matters, that you have a process and a system in place, so that way it doesn't rely too heavily on people to get the job done, that many people could serve a role in an organization if you have the right framework in place. But when you take the right framework with the right person or the right people, that's when you get the 1 + 1 = 3. And, you really get this exciting growth and culture and just overall vibe.
Awesome. I love it. And agree completely. And as you know, that's what the elite execution system is all about, and agree completely. So that's the book I just wrote, Building an Elite Organization. You just wrote a best-selling book called Lifestyle Investing. And I know you do quite a bit in this space, and it's impressive and amazing what you've accomplished, and what you're helping families do. And another quote you said here is, lifestyle investing is about creating substantial passive income and long-term equity while achieving financial independence and total freedom from your business or a job. And so when people read that, and you hear that, it sounds like you're talking to people that they should all quit their job and close their business, and our listeners largely are running businesses and growing in their careers yet. And but please let us know, how does this message of lifestyle investing apply to those who don't want to just sit at the beach and enjoy life, but are focused on growing an organization or their career?
Yeah, it's a great question, Don. And I think that it really kind of depends on the person. What is someone looking for? I think anyone that just retires at a young age is going to find themselves bored pretty fast. So the message isn't stop doing everything, sit on a beach forever. The message really is, how do you spend your time in the areas that you value most, that you're inspired by, that bring passion? So when I talk about buying assets that produce income and that produce more income than what it costs you to live your life, your current lifestyle, or even the lifestyle that you desire to live, it's more from the standpoint of having options. I think a lot of people build a business where they become a slave to that business. So, for example, a lot of people who were employed by someone, they were an employee. They said, you know what, I've had it with this, or I have these great ideas, I want to start a business, and they do. And they start a business so they don't have a boss, or so they have more autonomy, or they have the opportunity to build something meaningful and earn something greater than what they were earning. But if you're not careful, what ends up happening is you build yourself into just let's call it what it is, a nicer form of job. And you're the bottleneck in that business. And the decisions often go through you. In order to scale, it's often, due to you, or that you're the bottleneck in the sense that it's hard to get out of the way. Like, you have to get out of the way to truly scale the way that you and I know that you can scale a business. And so when I have this, this mantra, this idea of owning assets that produce income, it's not so that you can just walk away from your job or just stop everything you're doing. It's more to say, what would you like? How many hours would you like to do it? What roles do you not want to do? How can you empower other people to do things that they're either A, better suited and better equipped to do, or B, that you just don't care much to do? So again, it's not to get, assets and income to just walk away from business. It's how do you buy your time back so you can spend it however you want in any allotment of time into your business. Maybe one week it's not at all. Maybe another week it's 20 hours. Maybe you find this perfect rhythm of, 15 to 30 hours, but that it's not sacrificing other important values in your life, such as family or friends or, other things that matter. And in some cases, I feel I've seen entrepreneurs working so hard that everything else goes to the back burner. I personally think that entrepreneurs thrive the most and businesses scale the best when you have a leader that is so excited to be there with a compelling vision of the future, working a schedule that they enjoy, working with people that they want to work with in a role that really engages their qualities the best.
Wow, well said there. A lot there. But what you made me think of there, kind of at the end, especially, is, I believe, we here at DLP now have 450 team members, and I believe, people, our employees, our team members are our greatest assets, and should be that, not always treated that way, but should be considered the greatest assets of every business. And I believe it's our responsibility as entrepreneurs of businesses to treat our people that way, and help them to live fully, so they don't have that feeling that the rest of their life is going by the wayside. As you said, we consider living fully as having success in all the 8 F's of life: faith, family, friends, freedom, fun, fulfillment, fitness, and finance are what we call the 8 F's of life. And I know that concept of living fully and getting to do what you want to do and being great in all aspects of your life, but both great in your career, if that's what you choose, as well as being great, in your case, father and husband and leader in your church. And so talk to us, what does living fully mean to you? What does, living a complete life, mean in your eyes? I know it's something you're passionate about helping a lot of people do.
Yeah, and I love this question, Don, because I think this gets to the root of, to me, what inspires me to, live and coach and teach the way that I do. I do think for most people, this is the answer that they're probably looking for. It's not to earn more money. It's to earn more time to be able to spend it how they choose to spend it. And so for me, when I think of a truly wealthy person, finances are certainly a component of it, but time is much more valuable than any dollars. And talk to anyone on their deathbed, talk to anyone, that is facing a life-threatening situation, and they will tell you time is more valuable than any treasure or any material possession. So to me, it's really owning your time in a way that you can spend it and do spend it according to your values. So for me, I want to, focus physically on being able to work out and make sure that I'm healthy for myself, for my family, that I can live a long, healthy life. I want to make sure that faith is a very central component of my life, and that I'm doing things in a way that are honorable and that serve other people. I want to live in a way where I have energy, emotionally and spiritually, intellectually, for all my friends and family and just relationships in general. And I think that when you own your time and you feed yourself what you need to, from, physically eating good, healthy foods to, basically putting really healthy concepts and ideas into your mind and feeding yourself emotionally. I think when you do those things, there's this waterfall effect where you're just really filled up in other areas. And when you're commanding your time, you're able to spend it in a place where you're most passionate and where your gifts are best served. And so I think when all those things line up, that's when you're really winning. And work to me comes after those things. And at certain points in my life, work has come first. And I feel like, there are certain seasons for, certain things. But what really serves me today is making sure that the things I value more than work are in place to give me the energy, the presence, the passion to do what I do inside of my business and my brand as the lifestyle investor. And I know the same is true for you inside and outside of DLP and all the other organizations that you're part of.
Awesome. So I know, to that point, you have a lot of people come to you for your expertise and your knowledge, and you get hired to coach and consult with, business owners and very successful people. What are the common reasons or issues or challenges, that people come to you and want help on? And, is the issues they come to you with generally what they actually need help with? Or, what do you find that you spend your time coaching, consulting with successful people on?
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of the times you're right. What they think they want is not what they really need. And, sometimes it takes a little bit of unpacking, but the common trends, the common themes that I experience is, number one, I work too much. I have to do everything, and, we're short staffed, but how do I have the time to hire? Number two, it's like, how do I appropriately scale? So maybe it's a little bit more moving into the standpoint of like, I don't know how to grow, less of like, here's what I don't want, and more what I do want. And that's to grow an organization, but maybe I'm not equipped to do it, or I want to cut down the learning curve and utilize some skills and some tools that other successful people before me have used. Sometimes it's, I am putting all of my eggs in one basket. So all of my profit goes back into my business, and I don't feel like that's the best move. And I'd like to figure out how to diversify some of those investments away from my business just in case it doesn't make it. Sometimes it's putting boundaries up because, I work with a lot of workaholics, and they get their value and they really kind of get their worth out of who they are in the business place versus who they are as a human being. So, you unpackage that, and there are a good number of different, variants to those, but those are kind of the main ones.
So a lot of your clients I know have achieved a certain amount of success. And I know when you went down this path of lifestyle investing and investing in passive investments and generating this, great cash flow, you had a certain base of wealth that you had accumulated. And for somebody who's listening right now, who they're in the beginning stages, they're going through maybe fast growth of a business, and they haven't yet accumulated, significant wealth, and whatever that means. Maybe that's $1 million or $5 million or $10 million or whatever that can mean, but they don't yet have enough wealth to really be able to go and invest passively and generate, other forms of income behind their business. When do you say, look, you need to not listen to the message of worrying about, working 15 hours a week or 30 hours a week or having more freedom, and you need to just put your head down right now, and you need to do the hard work necessary to put the right leaders in place in your organization and to eventually free yourself up. But you got to invest in your business today, way more than you worry about, having your miracle morning, right? Maybe you don't have time right now to worry about that. Just how do you think about that? How do you think about where somebody's at their journey or their season of life, as you said, of when this is applicable to be focusing on things outside of their career or their business?
Yeah, at one point in my life, Don, I would have said, just put your head down and grind. And, there's nothing more important than just, the work ethic that you put into it. Like, you can create all the results that you need to by work ethic. And I think that today my stance varies on that because I think work ethic is really important and imperative to a new business, imperative for liftoff. But I think there are smart ways to go about it. And so I think if someone is working so hard that they don't have time to work out, or they're not making time to work out or focus on their health, I think that's a detriment to the business, even if the business goes up. And by the way, it may not. But I actually think that short term, that gain is not as strong as long term, the gain of spending the time doing the things that are going to put you in the best state long term. But, on the flip side of that coin, I really do believe when people are taking care of their body regularly, they're working out regularly, they're eating well, they're engaged in healthy relationships. I believe when that happens, that pours into the box of business and it amplifies the business. So I think when people really fill themselves up the right way, it reflects in the business. So are there times to work hard? Yes, without a doubt. Are there things that should, are there times of sacrifice? Yes, but figuring out what those are and at certain stages in life, when I was a single guy, I worked a lot of hours and that was okay. But I knew that was just for a season and I knew I didn't want that long term. As a married guy with a daughter, that is unappealing to me. And so I put boundaries around business. And this is years ago, but they're in place today because whatever gains I could get in the business to me are not worth the sacrifice of the quality time that I will get with my family, which to me is a greater priority.
Awesome. So we're here talking about, risk and entrepreneurship is the title here of our conversation. And kind of what you made me think of there is, the risk to your business, the risk to your health, which of course is for most small businesses very much tied to the success of their business. The risk of their marriage going, if they're married, a person, marriage going awry, and the effect that would have on their business, or their career, or their wealth, right? These are all risks that you can't push off and you can't ignore. And so even at the beginning stage, when you're going through every growth, you need to take care of yourself physically and take care of those who are important to you and take care of your faith and so forth. So I agree completely with that sentiment. But it's one of the things you said earlier is, getting to spend your time on what you want to spend your time on, right? And at what point do you say, all right, yeah, you certainly, you think you gave great argument there to why you can't sacrifice, the things that are most important in your life to make more money or to grow your businesses. It may have some short-term benefits, but they're going to be fleeting. But when do you need to be able to say, look, maybe I'm somebody who I love whiteboarding and I love working on strategy and I love working on big picture and I love, the fun stuff, right? That at least to me, that's all fun stuff, right? I don't really like getting into the weeds and I don't really like, getting into the operational stuff. And I don't like doing kind of the hard work, right? At what point do you say, look, you got to accept that you're going to have to do a lot of the stuff that's not that much fun, maybe to you. But that's what your business is going to take at this point in the stage. A lot of us would rather sit, and think about our goals and work on big stuff than doing hard work. At what point do you need to say, hey, you got to be willing to do that work at this point in your career and your business?
It probably depends on your level of options, your level of experience. I think that as a new entrepreneur or maybe an unestablished entrepreneur, maybe you've been in it a long time, but you haven't built that base, that foundation. So you may have experience, but you're operating like a newer entrepreneur. You haven't hit that, adult stage in your business yet. I think that you may not have the optionality to bring people in to do different things, and you may need to just suck it up and run things and do them to the best of your ability for whatever time frame you need to in order to train someone to be able to do those things that you don't want to do. But one of the things I always coach people in my organization on, I always say that the whole idea of delegation isn't to get out of doing things. It's to create greater results. If the natural byproduct is you get out of doing things because you created better results, then that's good. You're building it from a good place with good motives. You can have things that you don't want to do, but the goal is to build people up and equip them to run it just as well as you, or ideally better than you. And even if you get people to run it a fraction of it, of as good as you, if they're running it, 70, 80, 90% as well as you, but you've got 5 or 6 or 8 people in different divisions running different things, they're going to do it collectively better than you're going to do it independently. So I think the whole idea is you do things, but the goal is that someone's watching you do those things that you can hand it over to in time. And that way you're not doing it for the sake of doing it. You're doing it for the sake of training. And there's also a light at the end of the tunnel. But yes, at a certain point in time, you just need to get the job done. later in your career, if you have more finances at your disposal, or if you have people and network, you have the right people, it's easier to plug those in. And I'm happy to be super generous. I love bringing people into my organizations, and I pay them well, and I want them to be happy. And when you're in a position to do that all day, every day, you do that. Because for me, I'd rather pay someone really well and buy some of my time back, knowing that I can train them to do an even better job than what I was going to do on my own.
I think that's powerful. I think you hit on kind of the other side. I think, some people, don't want to have to do the hard work because it's hard work, right? But I think a lot of successful people struggle with the other side you started hitting on there, which is they don't want to delegate things out to somebody else because that they're not confident that person's going to be able to do as good of a job. And I agree with that note of that lesson, that if they can do it 70, 80, 90% as well, and you can duplicate and grow a number of people, you're going to be able to produce more results, but to help more people. One of the ahas I had recently was I realized that right now at our current size of DLP, I have people working over 1 million hours a year. So I have 1 million hours a year, working right now to provide services to our clients, right? I could be the greatest in the world at everything I ever do, but I can't duplicate that level of time and effort, right? So I think that's a great aha there. I know you help a lot of people, generate great cash flow, consistent, great cash flow, while mitigating risk. And I know you invest with a lot of entrepreneurs in doing that, real estate deals and otherwise. So when you think about mitigating risk on behalf of, yourself, on behalf of your investors, and think about the risks that the entrepreneurs, face and that you're focusing on mitigating for yourself and your investors, what are those main risks that you're concerned of and that you focus on mitigating to produce that reoccurring cash flow?
Yeah, this is a fun question because I feel like most people are lured into the appeal of high returns and the glory of having a great overall return and great cash flow. But more important than that is making sure you don't lose money. And so in my book, The Lifestyle Investor, the subtitle is the 10 commandments of passive income, or the 10 commandments of cash flow investing for passive income and financial freedom. And it's my 10 criteria. And number 2 is de-risking the deal, making sure that you're protecting your money to not lose it, because you then have to work twice as hard to make it back, and you forever lose the opportunity cost of what that money could have produced. So I love your question here. And there are a lot of different ways you can go. If you're talking, from the standpoint of an entrepreneurial path, investing in companies, I think that when you have an expertise and you invest inside your expertise, that's one way to de-risk a deal. If you have expertise and you have influence, where you invest in a company and they're actually going to listen to you, you can become an advisor, whether it's recognized or unrecognized, meaning you have influence. You can suggest something and they're going to run with it. That's definitely a way to de-risk a deal. I think about real estate. I think about recession-proof assets. I think about, assets that are in affordable housing. I think about, just in general, if you have assets that are in a hot market, but it's hard to get the zoning for, more builds of that type, and there's a little scarcity. I mean, these things lock in tremendous value and have tremendous risk protection. In addition to it, there are ways that you can structure investments just like you guys do, where on the debt side, you're senior secured or first lien on real estate that has a greater value than the loan or investment amount. And so collateralizing your investment, being in a first position if something goes wrong, having more asset that you get than your total amount in. So, if you are investing $100,000 to have collateral of $500,000, where you're at 5x, that's powerful. And so, those are a handful of ways, influence, collateral. I mean, there are definitely negotiations. You can negotiate put options where you have the right to withdraw your capital at any time for any reason. You can lock in an interest rate on it. Maybe it's a put option up to a certain amount with an interest rate, a 20% interest, like we did with one of our recent investments. There are a lot of different ways to do it, but I think at the end of the day, the idea should be, how do I not lose money? If I'm going to lose money, how do I limit how much I'm going to lose, but only subject myself to losing money if the upside warrants the downside?
I love that. So that you gave a lot of nuggets there, and so I know you often, you're investing in, in a variety of different industries and different small businesses, and in addition to real estate deals and operators and so forth, a wide range of things. So as you think about when you're investing and you're taking an advisory seat on one of these companies, or you're understanding the risks of the underlying investment strategy, what do you find typically are the risks that entrepreneur or that business face, that you're trying to protect, yourself from, and in some ways, especially when you're taking advisory seats and such, you're trying to help protect the entrepreneur from. What do you see as typically, and maybe that isn't a typical, but what do you see are the underlying risks that you're trying to, through deal structuring or controls or put options, trying to protect yourself from?
Well, sometimes it's from the operator themselves, that maybe they're a high risk. I mean, by definition, most entrepreneurs are a little bit riskier than, I would say most non-entrepreneurs. There's some element of risk. So being able to figure out how far someone's going to go, I mean, the success of a business is largely dependent on the founder, the person running it. So I want to know what their work ethic looks like. I want to know what their risk profile looks like. But there are also different things in a business that you can collateralize against as well. So even if we're not talking about, we just did a deal recently. So instead of collateralizing against real estate, this company didn't have any real estate. So we, took their accounts receivable. We've done membership interest pledged to us and held in escrow. We've done inventory, and we've done parts and machinery, and just you name it. So there are a lot of ways to protect there, but more than anything, it's the people that are involved. So what does the board look like? Who are the other advisors? Is there success? Is this entrepreneur's first time, or have they done it before? And I would rather invest with someone that has the skill set or has the advisors around them that have a successful track record. I want to know that whoever is running a business is coachable. And this can be real estate. This can be an operating company. I want to know that they'll listen and that they are in a place where ego isn't driving them or isn't going to cloud their judgment to the point that they're not going to take in good counsel. And I want to run everything through my attorneys and make sure that they are signing off on it, because they always catch things that I don't catch. And I think that that's important. I may catch things that they don't catch, but they most certainly catch things I don't catch. And that's why it's nice to be teammates with your attorneys.
Awesome. A lot of nuggets there. All right. So I'm going to switch gears just a little bit here. And so, we're focused here. The whole season here of Impact here is focused around this jobs crisis. And I believe right now we're facing some, significant unemployment issues, some significant underemployment issues, some long-term employment issues. And what's, some feel scarier than all that is the fact that we're maybe only at the very beginning of this age of productivity and tremendous amount of automation that's coming. And COVID has accelerated this. And by different data points, they say 30 to 50% of jobs in America today are at risk of automation in the next just 10 to 20 years. So in the midst of, and maybe those numbers are high, maybe they're low. But we're certainly in the midst of some transformation and some challenges in a lot of industries in terms of jobs here. And so as you think about this risk of automation and the impact that has on our economy and on jobs, how do you think of entrepreneurs playing into this challenge? What can they do to make an impact here on this crisis of jobs and automation that we face?
Well, I'm a big believer in just businesses in general, and free markets, and just really having a focus on an entrepreneurial world. I think that small business, medium business, these are the organizations and the people that are going to solve the vast majority of the problems. I don't think that governments generally make good solution finders. I think that businesses do. I think that, privatized business with the right leadership, they find they find ways to get things done. They're resourceful, and I think you should leave it up to them. So I do think there's going to be a lot of automation, and I think that investing in automation is really smart, but there's always going to be room for people to work. I mean, there are so many professions and so many jobs that can never be outsourced to AI or to technology, or to, machinery. Like there's just so much that is going to be reliant upon people, humans. And so recognizing what those industries are, recognizing what some of the trends are, I like to really pay attention to, what's cutting edge, what's happening right now, and you guys were part of this as well, but catching the wave of single family home rentals before it was an asset class. I mean, that's a great example of being on the cutting edge of something before most are, being a first mover and reaping the benefits of that. I think the same is true with cannabis. The same is true with cryptocurrency, or at least Bitcoin, and for sure, certain aspects of blockchain. And there's a ton. E-commerce would be another one, and anything that supports e-commerce. And so there's all these different things where you could say, hey, we could focus over here on people losing jobs. I'd rather focus on the other side and say, where are jobs going to be created? Where are the new waves of technology going to take us? How do we need to support that technology? Even if the technology can do a lot of the doing, you still need someone to sell that technology. You still need someone to market that technology. You still need someone to, paint the vision and cast the vision for what that's going to look like and be a creator of that technology. And so there's always room. So I just don't believe in the scarcity model of, things disappearing, because I think that they reappear somewhere else, and they reappear in large quantities, that in a very abundant way. And so it's the whole idea of like scarce resources. Well, once they're extinct, we find new resources to do the job that the old things did, and they do a better job, and they use less of that resource. And so the same is true here on human capital, in my opinion.
Well said. And I agree 100% that there shouldn't be fear around this. This should be a lot of excitement and opportunity. And, America is a country of entrepreneurship, and we will have great entrepreneurs who are able to create new opportunities and new ways to repurpose our human capital. And that's what, what we're really focused on here, is helping organizations scale and scale profitably. And with all that said, not everybody, wants to be a job creator. Not everybody wants to go out there and create a new organization and be able to create a lot of new jobs and do something innovative and exciting. And so for those who that's not their path, but they want to make an impact here, they want to help positively affect and create jobs here in this country and in the world as a whole. What do you recommend? How can people go and make sure they focus their investments in a way that help impact this crisis and positively affect our economy?
I love this question, because you're right, Don. You don't have to be the person that creates the jobs. You can be the person who financially helps pave a path for it. And there are a lot of ways that you can do things to support job growth, to support the economy, your local economy, your state economy, the federal economy, or national economy. There are also ways that you can, through leadership and through networking and through education, learn what some of these new roads and paths may look like. And so again, being on that cutting edge and being in the know and being educated, I think that matters. But there's just so many ways that you can invest your resources to create jobs, to create housing, to create agriculture, to create energy. I mean, the list is endless. And if you look at what the IRS wants you to do, it's just pay attention to the tax code. All the things that you get some sort of tax advantage on are the things that the government recognizes that they need. And so they want to incentivize you to do those things, to invest your money in those ways, to invest your time, to invest your capital. And if you're not in a position to do that with capital, you can most certainly do it with your time, through foundations and organizations that have strength in these areas. Or, you can network with people, and you might be the ideas person. Maybe you're a visionary and you talk to the right people that can make things happen. But for most of us, we're going to come to a point in our lives where we're financially going to be able to help create change and help create growth in a way that is really good in the world. And I hope that more people recognize that A, they have the ability to, and B, it does great things. There's a compound effect to it. It sends ripples across the ocean for, just lengths and lengths of distance that people may not recognize.
Awesome. Well, I love that, Justin. We covered a whole lot of ground here. Justin Donald, awesome stuff here. So, I know I want to make sure people know how to get your book and how to get in touch with you. And then, I'd love, take a moment. And what are the other ways? People say, hey, maybe they already read your book, or they read it and say, I want more help. What else can you offer? How else do you come alongside and help those, achieve and grow their success and their improve their lifestyles?
Yeah, I've got a number of things. So first of all, if for anyone in your audience that doesn't have my book, if you go to lifestyleinvestorbook.com, I've got a free book. You just pay for the shipping. And the book is kind of my way of giving back, giving education that I think is going to benefit people. My hope is that it can have impact in some way, shape, or form to help people buy their time back. And then all the money that is created through the Lifestyle Investor book, that all goes to a charity called, and by the way, everything that the book creates is all given to charitable organizations. But right now, the charity that I'm most excited about is Love Justice International, and they stop human trafficking, child sex trafficking. They're in 17 different countries around the world right now, and just doing incredible work. Last month, they rescued over 500 children. They were literally intercepted. It's scary and exciting all in the same breath. So, my book is doing a lot for bringing awareness to that. And then I have other products. If you go to justindonald.com, I've got an online course. I've got a masterclass, which was a one-day event that I did and repurposed it. There is a mastermind. There's an application process to that. I've got private coaching, and there's an application process to that. And we're on a wait list right now because I really only coach 4 people a year. But and I have a podcast, and my podcast is called The Lifestyle Investor, and I have really fun and exciting guests like you on my show. And so I'm just having so much fun with it, and we've got some really cool episodes coming out in the coming weeks.
Awesome. Well, that is great. And you certainly do. I've had the pleasure listening to, I think, just about all the episodes, really great guests, many of which I consider friends, investors of ours, and some of the people who've coached and been part of your mastermind and are right now are investors and clients here of mine, and people I call friends. And you definitely have an incredible network, and anybody looking to, as you said, buy back time and improve their life, please get in touch with Justin, take him up on his offer for the book, and be able to make an impact there as well. It's pretty cool. So thank you, Justin. Really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. And I have no doubt you'll have some people getting in touch with you here as you're doing some pretty incredible things.
Don, before we wrap up, I'd love to give a shout out to you and to your team and to everything that you're building, because as a spectator on the sidelines, it's been really cool seeing what you've been able to build. I've had a chance to hang out with many of the movers and shakers that run your organization. I've been able to do one of your dinner functions. I've had the pleasure of recommending people to hang and speak to your organization and hear great things from them. I've had so many friends and colleagues and peers and people in my mastermind that have recommended to invest with your organization. And I just think that you're doing things on a tremendous level. The way that you run your business, the values that you have in place, the leadership from the top down I just think is impeccable. So I just want to give you a shout out and let all of your listeners know the guy from the outside that isn't even involved, more so than rather than just being an investor, is incredibly impressed.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And you've helped a lot. You've definitely helped get this podcast and my book out to a lot of people through some of your relationships and connections and your mentorship. So much appreciated. Thanks everybody so much for listening again. Justin Don, I'll get in touch with him and appreciate everybody's time. This has been Don Wenner on the Impact Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. You can check out our other episodes by subscribing wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube, or check us out online by going to impactwithdon.com. I encourage and challenge you to make an impact.